If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's the Think Generational podcast with your host, Amir Estimo. And I just wanted to pull up on this podcast today just to have a conversation about 2020 is almost here, folks. In 3 days, January 1st, 2020 is almost here. A new decade is almost here. That is crazy. When I reflect back at the previous decade for me, from 2010 to 2019, I got married, had a baby, bought a new house. And in this past year, 2018, 2019, I just started my own business called Amir Estimo Investments. It's a real estate investing company. So just to let you know, anybody, if you have some houses you're trying to sell fast, need quick close, all cash offer, just reach out to me at amiristimoinvestments@gmail.com. Once again, it's amiristimoinvestments@gmail.com. It's AMIRISON investments@gmail.com. And we can make that happen. But just reflecting on this year, what is the goal for 2020? 2020 is going to be an exciting year, I think, for me. One thing I learned about 2019 was there's certain aspects of myself I still need to work on when it comes to just being consistent. I mean, I started this podcast with my friend Jimmy Jean, Think Generational Wealth, and our message is simple. We want to be able to have conversations with experts, just talk to people in general about Think Generational Wealth. We want people to start thinking about generational wealth. Because if you think about it, the baby boomers generation is passing away. Gen X generation is passing away. And next thing you know, the millennials generation, me, myself, is going to pass away eventually. And we got to be able to leave generational wealth for the next generation. Because we can't leave any material things. We can't leave Versace. We can't leave Gucci. We can't leave Juicy Couture for the next generation. But we can leave things of assets, land, property, real estate, stocks, whatever you could think of as far as assets. We can pass that down to generations and generations. So for me, I'm pulling up today just reflecting on 2019. 2019 taught me there is still more growth that I have to grow. When we started this brand, Think Generational Wealth, we knew that our message, we wanted to be part of generational wealth because I have kids, and eventually I would like to leave, when I pass and leave this earth, especially my daughter being born in 2016, this decade, I wanted to leave something of use for her. So Think Generational Wealth was born because me and my partner, Jimmy Jean, believed in leaving generational wealth. So this episode is more so of having a conversation about What is your goals for 2020? What did you realize, not just about 2019, but just a decade, and now we're about to enter a new decade? What is going to be your focus? I'm putting it out there. I myself believe the Think Generational Wealth podcast is going to grow. I don't have a specific number because that's not the point. I'm not looking to say, oh, I want 1 million subscribers or 100,000 subscribers. That's not the point. The point is, if we can help and grow as a community, this Think Generational Wealth community, grow this community. I don't really care for the numbers, because if one person who did not have the thought process of generational wealth now starts to think about that, that's the only thing that matters to me. So today, on this rainy day in Dallas, Texas, I was just like, you know what? I gotta be able, we haven't done a podcast in such a while. We've had a lot of personal stuff going on, family wise, but we're gonna be focused. 2020 for Think Generational Wealth will be consistency, networking, and marketing. That marketing and networking has never really been my forte, because I've always been someone that's just been in my shell. But to see now that if I want to grow this brand and get my message out there, and to at least have one person be able to see that generational wealth is important. And it really is, because when we think about it, how many of us wake up and think, when we look at our kids, and we don't think and say, I can leave a legacy for you? Because eventually we're all going to leave this earth. Whatever happens after that, I don't know. I don't have the answers. But I can only worry about the present and worry and set myself up for the future. And generational wealth is so important. And when we think about just everything that just happened this past decade, just take a moment before December 31st, 2019, 11:59 p.m. hits, 59 seconds hits. Take a moment to think about, what is it with this new decade approaching us very rapidly? What is it that you want to change about yourself? What is it? Is it building stronger relationships? Is it working on your finances? Is it working on health? Is it working on spiritual? One book I like to recommend, and it's by it's called the Four Laws of Spiritual Prosperity. I think the author name is Edwin Gaines. It's a very good book. I mean, I've been reading about it, and if you don't believe in God, that may not be. Just give it a chance, because it really touches upon God and the universe. I believe in this world, in this time we live in, you should have some spiritual to you, because this world is crazy, and it is. But there's a lot of good. That's why, for me, I don't watch the news. I don't pay attention to the news, because there's so much negativity. When you open the news, it's always someone getting killed, some bombing happened in this place. These are not things that intrigue me. I like to know, and I am so glad I live in a time, and I know social media, people may have all different opinions about social media, but social media, with the right platform, with the right message, if you're not consuming so much, but you're out there adding value, it's a great platform to grow an audience. So for me, taking the time to grow this podcast, to grow Think Generational Wealth, this is something, it's something in me. I believe this is what God has placed in me, and it's for me to go out there and get this message out. Generational wealth is so important. People with kids, don't have kids. There is it puts you in a different mindset because it has you thinking not just for now, but the future. So for me, 2020, what is it that you want to change about yourself? You specifically. So just taking this moment, pulling up on this podcast is just so great, so awesome. Just to have the conversation, just to be able to come here today, 2020, think generational wealth. We are looking to really grow this brand. My whole point, my whole goal in 2020, may not be 2020, 2021, 22, I don't know. It's whenever that time comes. Is right now I currently have a 9-to-5 job. I would like to leave my 9-to-5 job and really go out there and find my purpose, because that's what's more important, is your purpose. So today, take the moment and think, what is exactly you want to do this next decade? Take a moment, if you can, journal. Think about your successes in the past decade, from 2010 to 2019. Think about the successes that you had. Also, think about your failures. And also, what your failures, think about what you can do or need to do to improve. Where do you want to be 10 years from now? Do you want to be looking at 2030? Like for me, I'm going on my fourth decade. I was born in the 80s, lived through the 90s, 2000, 2010, and now I'm entering 2020. So for you, what is it that you want to accomplish in 2020? What is it? Not just 2020, but the next decade. What is it? So take the moment and reflect and think. 2020, folks, is almost here. Be grateful, be happy, be amazed of this world, this time that you live in, and it's continually progressing. Technology is growing. I mean, the world is growing at such a fast pace. Take the moment. Where are you going to be? Are you going to be left behind, or are you going to be in the forefront? So, as I end this podcast, if I don't get to record another podcast before the year ends, Happy New Year. God bless. And once again, what people should be thinking, generational wealth. All right, I'm out.